Military recruiters face new challenges as recent studies show a consistent trend, declining interest in young people joining the service branches.
Some of the difficulties I face is, we were at war for 17 years. That's a big sticking point. A lot of families, that's all they know of the Marine Corps. So we try to get out there and promote, hey, yes, we were at war for 17 years. Yes, the Marine Corps did what America needed it to do. However, moving forward, we do a lot of humanitarian missions.
A lot of things can impact whether young people want to join the military. World events like the attacks on September 11th, or recession that hurts the U.S. economy, or even the culture. For years, military recruiting has been solid, but now recent numbers are showing a different story, a growing cause for concern. Several times a year, the military quietly conducts a national survey of young people to gauge their interest in joining the military. And lately, those polls show young people's interest in the military is nearing historic lows. But first, let's take a look back. The attacks of September 11th, 2001 ushered in a surge of patriotism. Young people were very interested in joining the military. At that time, 23% of young men said they wanted to join. Yet 5 years later, as the war in Iraq dragged on and became unpopular, that number tanked to a historic low, 12%. But then interest in the military rose again after the surge in Iraq's success. Plus, the recession that began in 2008 also fueled young people's openness to a military career. Yet during the past several years, those important Department of Defense polls show recruiting is getting tougher. The latest surveys show only about 15% of young men are signaling an interest in the military. That's the lowest in nearly 10 years. With these numbers in mind, we set out to chat with recruiters about what it's really like pounding the pavement, talking with students day in and day out. They describe a recruiting environment that is made even more difficult by rapidly changing technologies and social media too. Marine Recruiter Staff Sergeant Kirk Wagner tells me it can be extremely difficult.
It is a totally different generation. Even when I first came in the Marine Corps, cell phones were in their infancy. At least at my level. I didn't have social media. Facebook, Instagram, all that stuff, I didn't have any of that. And these kids nowadays, that's all they got. So you reaching out to them by telephone may or may not work anymore. Generally, you're getting mom or dad, or you're getting a home phone. You got to find these kids other ways.
When I initially came in, it was more telephone prospecting. Today, of course, like you said, a lot of students, they're using Snapchat, Facebook. So, of course, the Army, here in Arlington, our recruiters adjust. We recruit social media.
The recruiters tell us success is often based on geographic areas in the country, however.
So I will say it's as difficult as the recruiter's going to make it. Yes, location plays a factor. Population density, things of that nature, stuff that's outside of our control. I can't do anything about that. The only thing I can control is our effort.
And recent studies back up those geographic differences. In a 2016 study by the Center for Naval Analyses, 44% of those who enlisted aged 18 to 24 came from the South and 24% enlisted from the West. Obviously not an even representation of the country. Army recruiter Sergeant First Class Tony Mays, based in Arlington, Virginia, just outside of Washington, D.C., actually says they have a uniquely successful situation.
Overall, we have a lot of military within the area, and we're working in a city that has one of the lowest unemployment rates in America, 2.2%. So having said that, the recruiting efforts for us has been pretty good.
Sergeant First Class Mays says many parents of high school students in the area serve, so it's easier to get them to join because of that military influence already in their lives. So he says the charts that show declining interest in military service actually don't accurately represent his region in Virginia.
We have been on an increase as far as recruiting. Some of that could be because of students, parents serving in the military. A lot of the students also want another approach to just college. They're looking into job experience.
Regardless of what the future of recruiting holds, the goals for recruiters like Mays and Wagner remain the same.
As far as the Army, of course, yes, we come in with every day, ready to work, ready to go out and put our message out.
Every day it's a grind. You got to stay on top of it.
For Military Times, this is Jillian Angeline.